India has 101 million people living with diabetes right now, and according to ICMR and India B national study, that number took 30 years to build. But the daily habits that drive it, the timings of the meals, the specific foods eaten, the movement patterns, the stress responses, the sleeping hours, all of it builds silently inside a single day. And most people managing diabetes are doing it without a complete picture of what their day should actually look like from the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep. What I want to give you today is that complete picture. Not a list of generic tips, not another food to avoid, a full day framework, hour by hour, built on precise biological mechanisms that drive blood sugar up or pull it down. It is completely adapted to the Indian lifestyle, Indian foods and Indian timing patterns. But before I begin, I have to say something. I'm working on something right now that I'm genuinely and deeply excited about. And when it arrives, believe it, it's going to impact lives of millions of people managing this disease in India in a way that nothing else in this space has done before. And you're going to hear about it very soon. So please make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss it. Now let's get into the day plan. Let's first talk about why the sequence matter as much as the choices. Our blood sugar is not controlled by a single food or a single habit. It is controlled by a cumulative effect of every biological decision made across 24 hours. Insulin sensitivity follows a circadian rhythm. Cortisol peaks early in the morning and falls through the afternoon. The gut microbiome responds to the timing of eating as much as its content. And slow wave sleep is when the body restores insulin receptor sensitivity in muscle and liver cells overnight. Every step in this plan has a biological reason for its exact position. So let's get into a complete daily schedule to reverse your diabetes. First of all, at 6:15 a.m. you need to wake up, have methi water first. The first thing most people do on waking is reach for their phone, notifications and news, and this activates sympathetic nervous system before the parasympathetic nervous system has completed its overnight restoration work. The cortisol spikes further with immediate psychological stimulation and instructs the liver to release glucose through gluconeogenesis. This is the mechanism behind the dawn phenomenon, while fasting blood sugar is the highest before any food has been eaten. The phone can wait, the methi water cannot. So what you need to drink is soak 1 teaspoon of methi seeds overnight in a glass of water and drink the water on an empty stomach, chewing the seeds alongside it. Methi seeds contain galactomannan, a soluble fiber that coats the intestinal mucosa and slows down glucose absorption from the first meal onwards. They also contain 4-hydroxyisoleucine, an amino acid unique to this seed that directly stimulates insulin secretion from pancreatic beta cells in a glucose-dependent manner. A randomized controlled trial published in PMC found significant reduction in fasting blood glucose and HbA1c in diabetic patients consuming 10 grams of fenugreek seeds daily. A meta-analysis in Nutrition Reviews confirmed an average HbA1c reduction of 0.85% across multiple clinical trials. Also, Ayurveda has called this seed methika and recommended it specifically for madhumeha for centuries. But here is what you should not do. Do not drink chai, coffee with sugar or packaged fruit juice before eating anything. Chai on an empty stomach elevates cortisol and worsens insulin resistance environment for the meals that follow. Packaged fruit juice delivers the sugar of 3 to 4 whole fruits stripped of all the fiber, entering the bloodstream within minutes. Here are the habits that you can add here. After drinking the methi water, sit quietly for 3 minutes, breathe, inhale through the nose for 4 counts and exhale slowly for 6 counts. A review published in Frontiers in Physiology found that this automatic shift produced measurable decrease in fasting blood sugar and HbA1c without any change in diet or exercise. 3 minutes of breathing before the phone is a metabolic intervention and not a wellness ritual. Now let's get to the next step. At 7 a.m. in the morning, go for your morning walk for 20 minutes. Walk before breakfast, not after. Before breakfast is important because that is when your muscles contract. They activate AMP, that is active protein kinase, AMPK, which triggers GLUT4 transporter proteins to move to the muscle membrane through the pathway that does not require insulin at all. The research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinologist and Metabolism confirmed that GLUT4 translocation during exercise is fully preserved in type 2 diabetes even when the insulin receptor pathway is severely impaired. Movement bypasses the damaged pathway entirely. A pre-breakfast walk also depletes muscle glycogen, priming the muscle to absorb glucose from the breakfast more aggressively throughout the morning. Walk at any comfortable pace for 20 minutes. Speed is irrelevant. Consistency is everything. If joint pain prevents outdoor walking, seated heel raises for 15 minutes activates the soleus muscle in the calf, which is composed predominantly of slow twitch oxidative fibers designed for continuous low effort glucose burning without any fatigue. But here what you should not do is do not skip the walk because it's raining or because you intend to go to gym later. The morning walk serves a specific circadian and metabolic function that gym session in the evening does not replicate. Here is one habit that you can add here, and that is walk outdoors in natural morning light. Research published in Current Biology found that morning light exposure improved circadian alignment and was associated with lower body mass index and better metabolic markers. Practice nasal breathing during the walk, which activates the parasympathetic system and contributes to lower post-walk cortisol levels. Now after the morning walk, it's time for breakfast. Breakfast after morning walk and methi water means body is receiving food into a system that has already activated its glucose transport mechanism and coated the intestinal tract with galactomannan. The goal for breakfast is moderate protein, soluble fiber, minimal saturated fat and no refined carbohydrates. Here is what you must eat. You can eat moong dal chila, 2 to 3 pieces with coriander and ginger chutney. Yellow moong dal soluble fiber slows down glucose absorption without the glycemic burden of refined flour. You can also eat 2 egg whites scrambled with haldi, jeera alongside of 1 small bowl of vegetable dalia. You can also eat a small bowl of vegetable poha with lots and lots of vegetable in it. This preparation partially ruptures the starch granules in a way that reduces rapid glucose release. A small katori of plain dahi alongside of these options adds probiotic bacteria, and research in Frontiers in Endocrinology links higher gut microbiome diversity directly to reduced post-meal glucose variability. Now here is what you should not eat, and most Indians opt for it, and that is avoid white bread, pav and any maida based item. Maida has a glycemic index of approximately 85, causing rapid glucose spikes that overwhelm even adequate insulin secretion. Avoid parathas fried in excess oil, as the saturated fat accumulates as diacylglycerol and ceramide, directly interfering with P13K AKT insulin signaling pathway. Avoid chai with added sugar, packaged cereals and fruit juices in all its form. Also, it is extremely important to chew your food properly, eat slowly without any screen time or without any distraction, and let the food digest slowly. Now many people after breakfast are very used to snacking in between or snacking in their offices, but what I would suggest is avoid any kind of snacking between your breakfast and lunch, because you have already spiked your blood sugar level when you have had your breakfast. Now if you spike it again anytime before lunch for a snack, your body doesn't get any time to reduce the blood sugar level and balance and manage the insulin. So it is best to move to lunch after your breakfast. Now at around 1 p.m. you can have your lunch. Lunch is the ideal time for the largest meal of the day. Insulin sensitivity peaks in the late morning and early afternoon and declines significantly towards the evening. A research in obesity found that eating more calories at lunch versus dinner produced significantly better fasting glucose and weight outcomes in the same subjects eating same total calories. The plate construction rule is very simple. Dal and sabzi occupy 2/3 of the plate. The grain is the accompaniment and not the foundation. Now here is what you need to eat. You can eat 1 katori of tur dal or yellow moong dal with a tempering of jeera, haldi and hing. Its soluble fiber forms a gel-like substance in small intestine that slows glucose entry in portal circulation. You can also eat 1 katori of seasonal sabzi, preferring lauki, tinda, turi or karela. Karela contains charantine and polypeptide B compounds that stimulate insulin secretion and reduce hepatic glucose output through mechanisms similar to pharmaceutical biguanides. You can also eat 1 small katori of white rice or 1 small roti with fiber from dal and sabzi, already moderating its glycemic impact. 1 katori of plain dahi completes this plate. Along with this, it is important to add some protein in the form of egg whites or paneer to this meal. And one pro tip here is you need to choose 1 grain at a time. So if you're choosing to eat a little bit of rice for lunch, you need to avoid roti. And if you're choosing to have roti, then avoid rice because you need to choose 1 grain at a time. And you can always have the other grain for the next meal or for dinner. So here is what you need to avoid. Avoid large portions of grain with small portions of dal, which inverts the correct ratio and shifts the meal towards rapid glucose entry. Rushed eating increases gastric emptying rate and produces higher and faster glucose peaks from the same food. One important habit that you can start here is take a 10 minutes walk after finishing your lunch. You can walk in your office or around your desk, or even take a call while walking. You can also finish your work while walking because this will reduce the blood sugar spike and bring down the excess sugar in the right time. You can also add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water before lunch. Research in Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism found vinegar significantly reduced post-meal blood glucose by inhibiting alpha amylase, the enzyme that breaks starch into glucose. Now another important thing here is most Indian people have their maximum food cravings around 4 or 5 p.m. in the evening, and that is where all the unhealthy snacks come into picture. So here what you can do is around 3 p.m. have black coffee. After that you can reach out and plan an early dinner. But what you must avoid is any namkeen, any fried food or biscuits with the coffee. Now since you haven't had a heavy evening snack, it is best to go home and try to have an early dinner. You can finish your dinner between 6:30 to 7 p.m. with no exceptions. The fasting blood sugar reading you see at 6 the next morning is directly determined by what you eat for dinner and when you eat it. Insulin sensitivity is at its lowest in the evening. A study published in Diabetes Care found that the same meal consumed at 8 in the evening produced a significantly higher blood glucose spike under the curve than the same meal consumed at 1 in the afternoon in the same subjects. Dinner must be the smallest meal of the day, finished by 7:30 at the latest. But here is what you must eat for dinner. You can eat 1 katori of thin moong dal soup or any other light dal eaten slowly. Its amino acids support muscle protein synthesis overnight without the carbohydrate load that drives nocturnal glucose elevation. You can also eat 1 or 2 small rotis from atta with 1 tablespoon of flaxseed powder mixed in it. This measurably reduces post-meal glucose response through its soluble fiber and alpha-linoleic acid. You can also eat 1 katori of light lauki or green vegetable sabzi cooked with minimal oil. A small bowl of plain curd is also fine if it helps your digestion in the evening. Now here is what you must avoid. Avoid rice for dinner. The combination of low evening insulin sensitivity and the rapid glucose delivery of white rice creates the single highest risk evening meal pattern in Indian diabetic diet. You also need to avoid potato-based dishes which have a glycemic index of 70 to 85 and produce some of the steepest nocturnal glucose elevations. Make sure you avoid any food after 8 in the evening. A really important habit that you can add here is eat dinner at the table and not in front of your TV. Screen-based eating increases total quantity consumed by 28% through distraction, mediated suppression of satiety signaling. Make sure you serve the dinner on a smaller plate. Now after your dinner, before going for a walk, have jeera water. You just have to boil 1 teaspoon of jeera in 2 cups of water for 5 minutes, strain it and drink it warm. The cumin aldehyde, the primary active compound in cumin, inhibits aldose reductase, the enzyme that converts excess glucose into sorbitol in peripheral tissues. Sorbitol accumulation in nerve, retinal and kidney cells is one of the primary mechanisms of diabetic neuropathy, retinopathy and nephropathy. Jeera also reduces post-meal glucose absorption through inhibition of pancreatic lipase and has documented cholesterol lowering effects relevant to cardiovascular risk accompanying diabetes. Now at 7:45, the post-dinner walk is one of the most important walk of the day. The most evidence-supported single habit in diabetes management is this one, applied specifically after dinner. A randomized crossover study published in Diabetogenia found that post-meal walking reduced overall postprandial glycemia by 12% across all meals and by 22% specifically after the evening walk. And you don't have to go for longer walks. In Ayurveda, it is called as Shatapauli. You just need to walk 100 steps after dinner, and that is more than enough for your health and also for your blood sugar levels. After your post-dinner walk, make sure that you're not coming back and reaching out for some screen time. Avoid looking at your phones, avoid watching TV. Make sure you spend some quality time with your family and then go off to sleep by 10 p.m. Now it is extremely important for diabetes that you sleep for minimum 7.5 to 8 hours, because the depth and the quality of your sleep determines the progression of your diabetes and also how well you reverse your diabetes. So this was today's video on reversing diabetes, but there's something very special I have for you. Everything in today's video, the methi water, the slow breathing, the morning walk, the meal construction, the evening snack timing, post-dinner drink, post-dinner walk, the sleep protocols are the pieces of a much larger framework that I have spent months in building into something that is more complete. My book Reversing Diabetes is now live for pre-order on Amazon, and I'm so genuinely excited about this. I believe it is going to give people who have been managing this disease for years the complete biology first picture that they have never had access to before. The link is in the description. Go pre-order it right now, and if you have found today's video useful, the book goes 10 times deeper. Also, you can find the entire diabetes reversing routine in the description below, so you can check on the link and download it. So let me know in the comment section how you found this video. And as we always say, it's never just a diet, it's always a lifestyle. So stay healthy, stay fit, stay grateful and stay blessed.